Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Shireen Bhan. The top stories that we're tracking for you this evening. The 17-day ordeal set to end soon. Evacuation of 41 workers trapped inside an under-construction tunnel in Uttarakhand is underway. An NDRF team has moved inside the tunnel after drilling through the debris. A last-hour rally lifts Dalal Street. The Nifty moves back above 19,990 for the first time in 2 months. The sensex reclaimed 66,000, gaining 4% in November. The Gaza ceasefire extended by 2 more days. 150 Palestinian prisoners, all women and children, have been released by Israel since Friday. Hamas has freed 51 Israelis. UN chief has called for the 2-day ceasefire extension, a glimpse of hope in the middle of the darkness of war. Raymond stock down for the 10th day amidst a bitter separation battle between Chairman Gautam Singhania and wife Nawaz Modi. Singhania claims it's business as usual at the company. Proxy advisory firm IIAS asks independent directors to probe allegations of assault and CEO excesses against Singhania. Aviation consultancy Kappa India warns of supply chain risk to Indian Airlines, projects 200 aircraft are likely to be grounded by the end of this financial year, with Indigo alone accounting for 90 grounded planes. However, Kappa expects the growth momentum to continue in the longer term with greater focus on international operations. Fintech unicorn BharatPe turns EBITDA positive for the first time. Annualized revenue crosses 1,500 crore rupees. It says cash burn has reduced significantly. Unseasonal rains and hailstorm damaged crops in parts of Maharashtra. The state government's early estimates suggest crops spread over 50,000 hectares have been damaged. Onions, grapes, mangoes and pomegranate are the worst impacted. The Supreme Court pulls up the union government over the proposal to extend the tenure of the Delhi Chief Secretary Naresh Kumar by 6 months. The Delhi government opposes the extension, saying there is a complete lack of trust and communication with the current Chief Secretary. The court asked the centre to explain the need for an extension. Last day of the high decibel campaigning for Telangana's assembly elections. The state votes in a single phase on the 30th of November. Results will be announced on the 3rd of December. Well, the top story that we have been tracking for the last 17 days, it looks like the ordeal for the 41 workers who've been trapped inside that under-construction tunnel in Uttarakhand, in the Silkyari tunnel, are expected to be evacuated in a short while from now. The evacuation process, we understand, has begun. A team of NDRF workers is inside the tunnel. The workers will be taken to a nearby hospital via green corridor. 41 ambulances have been kept on standby. Arrangements have been made at AIIMS in Rishikesh as well in case the need arises. Now, families of the 41 trapped workers who've been keeping a vigil outside the collapsed tunnel through the last 17 days are waiting with bated breath. We are given to understand that the families have also been moved now inside the tunnel. Rescue efforts have been on for the last 17 days, and of course there is tension, nervousness, anxiety, but also a sigh of relief that finally there is a breakthrough in the rescue operations. Officials say that one family member will accompany each worker in the ambulance as and when they are taken out, evacuated, and then taken to the hospital. So all eyes, those are live visuals that you are seeing on your screens. Remember, it really has been a harrowing rescue operation. This last 17 days, we've seen the potential of a breakthrough and then a setback, especially when it comes to being able to drill through using the auger machines. And finally, it has been rat miners to the rescue. Rat miners drilling their way in the last 24 hours manually to be able to get the 41 trapped workers back home safe. It has, of course, been a complex exercise. The last week, we had actually seen a pipe with a 6-inch diameter being able to get food and other essential necessities to the workers. The hope is that once they are evacuated, that they will be in good condition. They should all be safe, and of course all medical attention will be provided to those 41 trapped workers. It has been traumatic, of course, for the families waiting on the outside as well. Well, we will keep revisiting that story as we get more details. Those are the live visuals on your screens. It could be a few moments from now. That's the expectation. We've been waiting and, of course, teams there trying to ensure that the last lap is completed successfully. Let's head to the markets now. It was a late surge on the Lal Street, which lifted sentiment. The market ended near the day's high. The Nifty and the Sensex closing close to 0.5% higher. The Nifty hitting the 19,900 mark, finally closing about 0.5% higher. The Sensex up 200 points. The Nifty Bank added about 100 points today, and the Nifty Mid-Cap was up by about 200 points. The first time in 2 months that we've seen the Nifty hitting 19,900 in intraday trade. The Sensex reclaimed 66,000 as well, and the Mid-Cap Index outperformed the blue chips, ending at a record high. The BSE companies have gained a market cap of 3 lakh crore rupees today. Prashant is standing by now to wrap up the market action for us. It's been a truncated start to the week. Prashant, take us through the market mood.
It was supposed to be a flattish kind of a day, and I'm saying supposed to be because overnight the handoff was not very much. We were actually coming out of a long weekend and reacting to a day and a half worth of global action because, of course, Friday markets in the US were only open for a few hours, and of course overnight we had a handoff. But the market here played to the script for the bulk of the session, but in the last 60 minutes, as you can see the surge on your screen, things actually picked up quite a bit of pace. We ended almost about 100 points higher. And above a resistance which we've been watching for some time, which is 19,875. So we ended about 15 points above that particular level, which bodes well, I mean, technically speaking. The Nifty Bank ending the day with about a 0.25% gain. The Nifty Bank has been the weaker of the two indices, but it's been showing signs of life for the last 3 or 4 days. Last week, it ended higher. So, I mean, that index bears a little more watching. Maybe things are turning. And that's important because that's about 35% of the Nifty weight. Broader markets, quite okay, 0.5% and 0.75% gain in the mid and the small cap part of the market on those two indices. Now, the one pack which did very, very well, of course, is the Adani Group stocks. So you had two names within the Adani Group which actually ended limit up on the day. On your screen, Enterprises, Adani Ports, Power, Total, you had Green, Adani Wilmar, with very large gains. The group adding about a lakh plus in terms of lakh crore plus in terms of market capitalization. Other Nifty gainers, and by the way, about 35 or 40 odd index points came in from the two Adani constituents, which are part of the Nifty. Other Nifty gains coming through in Adani, Tata Motors, BPCL, Coal India. There were gains in ONGC, Bajaj Finserv, and Hero MotoCorp, which did quite well. Very few losers. I mean, what was down very little, 0.5% or so. So I'll get to the broader space, broader markets. Exchanges and financial platforms have been doing very well. So MCX, 7%, 300% for the year. BSE, 8%, 100% for the year so far with today's gain. So we're talking very large gains here. New India Assurance was the PSU insurer, which was up. LIC and GIC did not follow through. All three had been gaining for the last many days. HPCL, I mean, with the 7% gain today, the stock is up 40% in the month. You had Chennai Petro, names like Yatharth Hospitals, Netweb, Inox Wind, Insecticides India, Shemaru, Gulf Oil, some of the other gainers. Some losses as well, about 100 stocks separated gainers and losers. But what was down was Suzlon, Raymond, as you pointed out earlier, Honasa, which had gained spectacularly last week. Sula was down. There was Amber Enterprises and Gokaldas Exports, which saw some profit taking as well. So pretty good session all told, given the fact that, I mean, the global markets were pretty tepid throughout the session. The big Q this week, of course, is the exit poll results, which we will get after market close, day after tomorrow. Back to you.
Prashant, many thanks for joining us. That was the stock market action, but onto the commodity market where gold prices have hit a 6-month high of over $2,000 an ounce, fueled by safe haven buying. This as expectations of an end to the US Federal Reserve's interest rate hike cycle weighed on the US dollar and bond yields. Domestic prices of the yellow metal also surging due to increased imports. The big global story, with a 2-day extension to the 4-day ceasefire, the war-torn Gaza Strip has been breathing a sigh of relief. Hamas has so far released 69 hostages, primarily women and children. Israel has released 150 Palestinians, mainly women and minors, many of whom were detained without any charges. Under the extended truce, Hamas will release 10 hostages each day. The truce has also allowed humanitarian aid into Gaza. According to Al Jazeera, 100 trucks carrying humanitarian aid entered northern Gaza today. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken will visit Israel, the West Bank and the United Arab Emirates this week to press for more humanitarian aid for Gaza and help secure the release of all those kidnapped by Hamas. Back home, auto sales have hit a record high during the 42-day festive period from Navratri to Diwali. As per auto dealers' industry body FADA, close to 38 lakh vehicles were sold during the period. That's a spike of 19% on an annual basis. Surge in rural demand has also seen sales of two-wheelers spike by 21%. Two-wheeler sales accounted for 76% of the overall sales. Passenger vehicle sales climbed more than 10%. iPhone maker Foxconn has announced an additional investment of $1.5 billion into India to fulfill its operational needs. The investment will be made through its subsidiary Hon High Tech and will be used for an unspecified building project. Remember, Foxconn has already invested over $1 billion to set up plants in Karnataka and Telangana. Raymond stock down for the 10th straight day amidst a bitter separation battle between Chairman Gautam Singhania and wife Nawaz Modi Singhania. Remember, Nawaz Modi Singhania, who's a board member of the company, has accused her husband of assault, which Singhania has denied. In an internal letter, Singhania assured employees and board members that it is business as usual at Raymond, adding he's committed to the company's smooth functioning. Now, proxy advisory firm IIAS has asked independent directors to probe allegations of assaults and CEO excesses against Singhania.
What we're suggesting simply is that the board undertake an independent investigation. They hire a firm which is not associated with the family or associated with the Raymond group of companies. A firm which is largely independent, who will undertake an investigation and ascertain the facts. Is there any merit in the argument for domestic violence? Is there any merit in the argument of the fact or the allegation that company funds are being used for personal benefits, which we sort of call the CEO excesses, and based on that, sort of take action.
Well, that's the latest there with the investment advisory firm IIAS writing to the Raymond board. But back to the top story today. The 17-day ordeal for 41 workers is set to end. Retired Lieutenant General Syed Atta Hasnain, member of the National Disaster Management Authority, addressing a press conference. Let's listen in to where things stand.
Positive खबरें हैं जो मैं आपको बता रहा हूं इस वक्त, मगर याद रखिए कि अभियान जब इस तरह का चलता है जिसमें 400 घंटे से ज्यादा हम इन्वॉल्व रहे हैं अभी तक, पूरे सेफ्टी प्रिकॉशन आखिर तक सेफ्टी प्रिकॉशन जो है वो अपनाए जाएंगे. किसी चीज पर भी प्री मैच्योर कार्रवाई, प्री मैच्योर अनाउंसमेंट करना जो है वो गलत होगा. इट विल बी अगेंस्ट ऑल प्रिंसिपल्स. तो इसलिए पूरे सेफ्टी प्रिकॉशन, आपको याद दिला दूं, अंदर 41 हैं, बाहर बहुत लोग हैं जो इसमें जुटे हुए हैं इस काम में. उनकी सेफ्टी और सिक्योरिटी जो है उतना ही महत्व रखती है जितना अंदर वालों की है. सो वी आर नॉट इन एनी हरी, मगर हम अपनी पाबंदी के मुताबिक मीडिया से मिल रहे हैं. 4, सवा 4 बजे आपको बता रहे हैं कि ये स्थिति इस समय है. इसके ऊपर मैं ये भी बता दूं कि ये एफर्ट जो है, डिस्पाइट मेनी हर्डल्स, बहुत बाधाएं आई हैं इसमें. बिल्कुल जैसे एक अभियान के अंदर होता है कि अभियान में प्लान, ऑपरेशंस के अंदर प्लान बनाए जाते हैं, तजवीज़ें बनाई जाती हैं, मगर जैसे ही ऑपरेशन लॉन्च होता है वो तजवीज़ जो है वो नष्ट हो जाती है. उस तजवीज़ को दोबारा रिव्यू करना पड़ता है और यू हैव टू कीप रीमेकिंग योर प्लान्स. बिल्कुल वैसा ही हुआ है, वैसी स्थिति यहां हुई है. आप देखें, पूरे 5 ऑप्शन 6 ऑप्शन हो गए थे. कहीं कहीं सामान, कहीं कहीं मशीनें फंसी हुई थीं, उनको सुपर ह्यूमन एफर्ट लग रही थी यहां पर लाने के लिए. गवर्नमेंट का कोई ऐसा डिपार्टमेंट ही नहीं है जो शायद इसके अंदर जुटा नहीं था. बड़ी खुशी होती है जब कहते हैं कि मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ हेल्थ एंड फैमिली वेलफेयर, वहां से शुरू अगर करें, मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ रोड ट्रांसपोर्ट एंड हाईवेज, which has been the core ministry involved in this whole thing. जब 12 तारीख को इसकी खबर आई तो सबसे पहला जो शायद हमने जो कम्युनिकेशन किया था वो रेलवे बोर्ड, क्योंकि सबको मालूम है कि रेलवेज के पास बहुत एक्सपर्टीज होती है. टनलिंग, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपमेंट, जिस तरह का काम हो रहा है अभी कश्मीर के रेलवे के लिए टू कनेक्ट जम्मू to Baramulla, उस तरह के काम में बड़ा उनका तजुर्बा है. So the first thing was made to the railway board and to the railways to bring their expertise forward. And from there it started, and different agencies have joined in from time to time. Indian Air Force का काम, NDRF का, जिसकी 2 टीम वहां पर लगातार काम कर रही हैं, all kinds of jobs that the NDRF has been involved with. Border Roads Organization, जिन्होंने सड़कें अलग अलग किस्म जगह बनाई हैं, जहां पर सामान लाने के लिए, बड़ी मशीनों को लाने के लिए ब्रॉडन किए हैं, सड़कों को ब्रॉडन किया है. डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ टेलीकम्युनिकेशन, जिन्होंने आकर वहां पर पूरी कनेक्टिविटी, अभी तो आराम से हम बात कर रहे हैं, वहां से मीडिया बात कर रहे हैं, पूरा कनेक्टिविटी वहां से इंप्रूव की है. और राज्य सरकार को नहीं भूल सकते इसमें. राज्य सरकार, देयर इन्वॉल्वमेंट, SDMA, SDRF, उत्तराखंड की SDRF जो है, बड़ी मानी हुई SDRF है, बीन इन्वॉल्व्ड इन मेनी सच डिजास्टर सिचुएशंस इन द पास्ट. और आखिर में मैं समझता हूं लोकल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, बिना डिप्टी कमिश्नर साहब और SSP के कोई चीज नहीं हो सकती कहीं. I think they have done a marvelous job, absolutely. मगर ये सब तब मुमकिन होता है when the directions from the top are absolutely clear. Clear cut अगर directions हैं ऊपर से. अब ऑनरेबल प्राइम मिनिस्टर से, आप मानिए प्रधानमंत्री से देखिए, वहां से PMO, प्रिंसिपल सेक्रेटरी खुद कल गए वहां पर, मुआयना किया पूरा, took stock of the situation, gave directions, एडिशनल रिसोर्सेज की जरूरत थी, उस पर डायरेक्शंस दिए, बात की, अंदर सबका मोरल और मोटिवेशन बढ़ाया.
Well, that is Lieutenant General Syed Atta Hasnain explaining the complexity of the operation. And it's important to note, while a significant breakthrough has been made, but we're not done yet. There are many reports suggesting that the workers have been evacuated, etc. That is not the case yet. There is about 2 meters still remaining. The manual drilling is underway, and it would be premature in Lieutenant General Atta Hasnain's words that it would be premature to make any announcements just yet, but hopeful of being able to successfully close this rescue operation by this evening. Now, fintech unicorn BharatPe has turned EBITDA positive in October. The startup has seen its annualized revenues grow 31% on a yearly basis. Ritu joins us now to take us through the factors which have contributed to this turnaround for BharatPe 5 years after its inception. It's been in the news for all the wrong reasons for a long, long time. Of course, management change, a CEO change, trying to steer BharatPe out of troubled waters. Ritu, take us through where things stand.
Well, that's right. It's been 5 years since its inception, and now it's saying thanks to growth on all fronts and a lower cash burn, October was the very first month where it could turn operationally profitable for the very first time. Now, the EBITDA burn has averaged about 60 crores a month as of the last financial year, and bringing that down helped it to deliver EBITDA positivity in October. The annualized revenues, they've crossed about 1,500 crores and grown by 31% year on year. Now, if you look at what BharatPe does as a business, a bulk of the money, that is almost 55% of the revenues, come from interest income from credit, and the remaining 45% comes from the fees that they make across their payments and merchant subscription products such as POS terminals, sound boxes, and so on. So the key business is lending, where bulk of it is to merchants, where it facilitated almost 640 crores of loans in October alone and 12,400 crores till date in partnership with NBFCs. Consumer lending is a relatively new business for them, which they do through postpay. No numbers have been disclosed on that front. In the other businesses, the payment products recorded a monthly transaction process value, that is TPV, which is the gross value of all the payments which are processed through the platform, of 14,000 crores, and digital payment verticals recorded a monthly transaction count of more than 37 crores just in October. Now, there are 1.3 crore unique merchants which are currently on the platform. The POS business processes payments of more than 29,000 crores annually. So that sums up the business of BharatPe. But like you say, the pickup in growth is good news, not only because this is going to give a fillip to BharatPe's plans to go for a public listing, which it has been talking about for a while, but it also comes as a relief amid that very public spat and that ongoing litigation, which has sort of plagued the company following the controversial exit of its former co-founder, Ashni Grover.
All right, Ritu, many thanks for joining us. And speaking of BharatPe, the company's former MD and co-founder Ashneer Grover has been fined 2 lakh rupees by the Delhi High Court for using, and I quote, unparliamentary language against BharatPe on the social media platform X. Grover expressed an unconditional apology for the post. Remember, in May, the Delhi High Court had passed an order restraining Grover and BharatPe from using such language against each other. Time for us to head into a break, but more news and updates continue when we return. Stay tuned. Well, the Supreme Court has questioned the centre's decision to give a 6-month extension to Delhi's Chief Secretary Naresh Kumar, whose tenure ends this month. The Aam Aadmi Party-led Delhi government had informed the court that there was a dearth of lack of trust and communication with the current Chief Secretary. Ashmit Kumar joins us now with the details. Ashmit, what has the court said?
Well, it all boils down to who has control over Delhi's administrative services. The Supreme Court had held that it should be in the hands of the Delhi government. However, the centre had undone that by way of an amendment to the GNCTD Act, restoring the powers back to the Ministry of Home Affairs on who gets to make these appointments. The case in question is, of course, that of Naresh Kumar, the Chief Secretary of Delhi. He's due to retire on November 30th. The question then arose is that who gets to appoint the next Chief Secretary. Now, on that count, the centre's proposal is to extend his term by about another 6 terms, while there is some deliberation on who gets to succeed him. However, the Delhi government is very clear. Number one, they cited the Supreme Court judgment. Number two, the Delhi government said that given that there has been a complete breakdown of trust and communication with the highest administrative officer of the national capital, it is required that he be replaced, and that Delhi government left the floor open, that they even open to the idea, if not him, then the next 5, any one of the next 5 senior most officers can be elevated to the position of Chief Secretary. However, the Solicitor General appearing for the centre remained firm on Naresh Kumar's extension, and this invited a line of inquiry from the apex court. The Supreme Court questioned, number one, the Act is in place. It has not been stayed by the apex court. Then why the insistence? As per the Act, the Justice Chandrachud observed that as per the Act, he should be allowed to retire on November 30th. And then, as per the Act, the centre would have the power to nominate any person they feel appropriate for that position. However, here the Chief Justice observed that the fact that the centre is insisting on one particular candidate gives rise to doubts and gives more credence to the submissions of the Delhi government, that there is something particular about Naresh Kumar, about the insistence on Naresh Kumar, that inspires more questions. And to that count, more clarity has been sought from the centre. The Solicitor General has been asked to come back with a reply on the powers that they have under the relevant provisions, and then get back on this issue on whether or not he can be extended or whether a fresh Chief Secretary is in order for Delhi government.
All right, Ashmit, appreciate you joining us. That is the latest in the matter. With that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of Business 360. Do stay tuned to CNBC TV 18. There's a lot more coming up right after this. We're back in a minute.